And see, I have all that up there, and I can still virtually look you in the eyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy,
It's
man.
like you're sitting right across from me. It's the future.
It's the future. We live in the future. 2025. It's the future.
It's the future.
That's a title.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the HalfGen podcast, season 4. We're doing it again.
This is season 4. I don't know what
I
season it is.
differentiate them every time we stop and start a new season. We're on
Okay.
4.
We're on 4. Perfect. Oh God.
It's how I
works.
know what's what, you know?
Hey, that's really what matters, honestly.
Yeah, we are not in person together today, which is, it's good. It's good in some ways, and it's we're not together, so it's bad in a lot of ways. But but we're here. And
Yeah.
I think we've got a pretty decent setup. Backgrounds could use some work. We were just talking about that, but
Yep.
we'll get there. We've got time to get there.
Yeah.
Ross, how you doing, pal?
Doing pretty well. I've been playing a ton of games.
Blasphemy.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, it's for those who don't know, I was at the end of last month I was laid off from my job. So, when I'm not applying for jobs, I'm playing games. Since I'm home by myself all day. So, I have a decent amount of stuff to actually talk about for the first time since maybe high school. So
That's not true.
but yeah, how about you, Chris?
I have been well, you know what? I'm gonna bring a visual aid. Sorry, audio listeners, but it's been the Switch 2 week. Hey, there's Ross.
Oh, hey,
Hey,
I'm there
starring on my
too.
Switch 2. Look at that. That's
Whoa,
a
I'm
pretty
on the
nice.
Switch.
That's a nice screen, huh?
That's probably enough of
Audio
that.
listeners, I'm so sorry. But
I just shimmied for about 5 seconds. Don't worry about it.
he's
It's fine. You didn't miss
reflecting in
anything.
he's reflecting perfectly in the screen of the Switch 2. It looks like he's on it. Like,
Yo, I'm on the Switch. I'm an influencer.
yeah, this is a nice screen. I will give them that. You know what? Maybe I'll pop this so that no, it's still Ross.
Nope, still me. That's all you need, really.
Nope, still Ross. I gotta write that down.
Yep, that's a title. Yep, I'll go ahead and write that.
All right, cool. Thank you. Yeah,
Yep.
so I have the Switch 2. I got mine on Friday. I actually saw you on Friday and Saturday. Or excuse me,
You
I got
did.
it Thursday. Saw you Friday and Saturday. So we got some time to play with it. I still haven't hooked it up to my TV at home, but we played it on your TV at your place. Ross, as somebody who wants to own a Switch 2 but doesn't currently, and that's not shade, just I'm going somewhere with this.
Yep.
How did using the Switch 2, like, did that make you want it more?
It's weird because the thing I want to do the most with it is just put in all of my Switch 1 games and see which ones work better.
That's pretty much all I've done so far.
Yeah. It's a much more premium feeling device than the Switch 1. I like the magnetic Joy-Cons.
I'll display that for anybody watching for the visual aid.
Yeah, it's like they just feel like chunky. If that for lack of a better term, when it connects, it like feels like that's not coming out. And there is a trigger on the back you have to hold down to take them out, so you can't accidentally.
I'm more worried about breaking it than pulling it off.
Yeah.
When I try and pull it, like, that's my concern, is like, am I gonna break this thing?
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of using the Switch 2, interface was pretty similar to Switch 1. Everything was snappier. The store is new. It's a different interface for the store, which was
Leagues
a lot
better.
faster, so
Leagues
much
better
better.
than the Switch One. The store is maybe one of the biggest upgrades, generation over generation.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, I think using it did make me uh reinforce that I do want to get one. I think if for nothing else, uh that new kind of tech envy. Um yeah, for those audio listeners, he's scrolling through the store right now.
I'm not interrupting him. I'm just showing
Yeah.
it.
Uh but yeah, I think it will probably be a very good device. It's already been very successful so far. I think it sold 3.5 million units in the first 4 days. I think
Yeah,
I saw.
I think it's like the biggest console launch of all time.
Yeah, and it's still sold out everywhere. So
I've heard
yeah.
stock has actually not been too bad. I've heard of people in recent days getting their hands on a Switch. So I don't know if Nintendo's just being really good about like getting new consoles in, but
Hmm.
there have been people who have wanted Switch and gotten Switch.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I've definitely heard of people going like, I walked into Target just to check, and yeah, there was one left on the shelf. I in fact went to my Target. There was in fact no more on the
I
shelves.
was there.
So, yep, yep. Um,
We
but yeah,
tried.
I mean, it seems it's very iterative of the Switch One, which makes sense. It's Switch One is one of the best-selling consoles of all time. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I
Unlike
think
what they did with the Wii and Wii U.
I think that's exactly what I was going to say is Nintendo learned
Yeah.
their lessons from the Wii U where they're
Hmm.
like, "Oh, we're going to reinvent the wheel here and we're going to make this thing." And then they were like, "No, no, no. We made the missteps in the past. Now we're going to make the Switch 2. The Switch 2 is going to be
We're gonna make the
iterative."
Switch to the Switch 2. Did you
Yes,
mean
we're
to
going to
do
make
that?
the Switch.
Okay.
I didn't actually mean to do that. That was a
Okay.
happy accident.
Yep.
But that transition here is definitely more like, okay, we have had 7 years to figure out where we can do better on this hardware, and they made a lot of people looked at it when they first announced it, and it was this big black like monolithic thing, and I'm like, this looks good. You people are crazy. Like everybody's like, oh, it doesn't have the color, blah blah blah, blah.
Oh
And it
yeah.
just looks like a big gray brick. And I'm like, no, this is amazing. Like this is the most premium looking device Nintendo has ever made. And it is
Yeah.
probably the most premium feeling device Nintendo has ever made. And like people I don't have my Switch 1. I sold it shortly before the Switch 2 came out. Because they're doing my part for my country. There was a deployment upcoming. One of my coworkers' husbands was deploying. She was like, "Yeah,
Really hoping you weren't going to add context and just leave
no,
it at that and be like, what? What?
no." He wanted to bring a Switch, but they were like, "Ah, I was like, "I got an OLED. I'm not using. You want it? I'll sell it to you."
Yeah.
So, who's gonna turn down $150 for their OLED? They're not gonna use anymore, right?
Yeah. True.
Um,
True. I also wrote down "happy accident" as a potential title
I
for
love
this
it.
episode.
I love
Yep.
it, Bob Ross.
But what have you played on it so far, or what have you tested?
So, oh, the one thought I wanted to finish, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
is just
Yeah.
I don't have the Switch 1 to compare this to. But this
Oh,
thing,
okay.
just its size, because it's the almost 8-inch screen now,
Yeah.
it feels impossibly thin compared to the way the Switch 1, because the Switch 1 was a little more condensed. This feels thinner, despite, by all accounts, being as thin as the original Switch for the most part. So it's
Yeah.
basically the same size, just a bigger screen, like taller and wider.
Yeah. And is the main screen like the Switch itself, not the Joy-Cons, is that a metal back now instead of a plastic?
I
can't
think it's
remember.
still plastic.
Because
It
it
definitely
felt
sounds it's plastic.
yeah, it felt way more premium.
It does, and that's the thing. It's almost got like that magnesium feel to it,
Yep.
but it's like Nintendo's not gonna. They're already charging probably a little too much for this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's the
all
economy.
metal, all metal. Now, I'm really just impressed on this video how good this screen looks.
Yeah,
Like,
it looks like the iPhone 4 in the picture of you, me, and Tony, where you can see every single app from like 2010. Inexplicably, it's like
yes.
when you see like a celebrity from today, like in a 1910s picture, you're like, time travel's real. That is what it reminds me of. It's very clear.
And I will say, it's not OLED, so it's not as like those blacks are not as black as they are on the OLED.
Why do you got to talk about Tony like that right after we?
Let him hear. The truth hurts. But
Nice, it's half and half. Keep
the,
going.
the colors are Don't turn this into something it's not. The people
It's,
don't know.
unlike Zane, the pure blacks are pure black.
God damn it. The colors I feel are very vibrant on this.
Mhm.
I have not missed the OLED. As somebody who games on an OLED every day and has an
Mhm.
OLED handheld PC, I don't miss it when I'm using this. Like, you can tell like just how vibrant that red looks. The purple really pops. Like, the colors really pop on this thing. Top and bottom USB-C ports are huge. Better kickstand,
Much
which
better.
is
And
I having not hooked this up to my TV the other night, I was playing Pokemon, which Violet runs so much better now. Holy
yeah,
wow!
it's like, is it 60?
It's not
60
60, but
FPS?
it might
Or
as
like
well be
40?
compared to what it
Yeah.
was.
Oh my god.
We went to
Yeah.
like 40 instead of 14. It's great.
Yeah.
We're
And
we have frames now.
as someone who flies, well, I used to fly more regularly, but the improved kickstand on the bumpiness of a plane is exciting to me, especially as my son gets older and will want to play. Um, so that's a little improvement that is cool to see.
And the thing is, like, it's kind of like the Surface, if you're familiar with the Surface at all, where like the
Hmm.
kickstand can kind of like lock into different positions. Like, it has like kind of default positions that it
Like
wants
the
to be in.
SP,
But yeah,
like the
it
SP
will it
hinge.
will
Yeah.
hold its position really well. Like, if you just want to prop it up this much, it
Hmm.
will stay. It's not
Yeah.
just going to move. And so, like, I was playing with my Pro controller on my desk the other night because I just haven't hooked it up yet. I'm waiting. I'm probably going to hook it up to my PC monitor, one, because it's OLED. But I'm waiting
Yeah.
for like a HDMI switch to come in because I only have. If I'm going to capture it for like streaming and stuff, I want to have the switch
Right.
so I can switch to my Switch and back to my PC. Set me up. Uh,
Uh, uh, I think, can I say what the most exciting thing for me about the Switch 2
what's that?
is that for the first time since the GameCube, and even then, really the Super Nintendo, it's the first time that a Nintendo console can be a primary console and still get the majority of third-party games, assuming that the trend we're seeing with Cyberpunk coming to the Switch, with everything CD Projekt Red is doing, and with obviously I think the biggest feature of the entire console is the DLSS. To be able to allow games to actually run on it that shouldn't.
Yeah, DLSS is an incredible technology, and the people who don't like DLSS, the purists, that's fine. Cool. I'm happy for you. DLSS makes a lot of games run better, and not the people who complain the most about DLSS are not the people where DLSS matters because they're already getting high frame rates with it off. The people who care about DLSS, and I am probably still on that technically on that end because I can run these games. I turn DLSS on almost every time because why have less frames when I can have more? I don't usually notice the artifacting, stuff like that, if it does happen. I haven't noticed anything in like Yakuza 0, which I have played on here. It docked runs at 4K 60. I haven't noticed anything on that has been. I don't know if you noticed it. We played it together. I don't know if you saw anything that would indicate like, oh yeah, very clearly. How dare they fake frames?
Yeah,
Well,
no,
DLSS, they're not doing the fake frame DLSS, but you know what I mean.
yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, no, Yakuza ran super well. And I am very excited for you to finally dive into Yakuza, and Zero is probably, it was my first full Yakuza game, so there's a little bias there, but it's probably my favorite out of Zero, 1, and then I've played about half of Kiwami 2. But just the option for those games to live on a Nintendo console again is a really exciting prospect for me because honestly, the Switch is probably, it's probably up there as my most played console of all time, just in terms of sheer hours I've put on the console. Like I have a library probably of about like 50 or 60 physical games, a ton of digital games. Like the handheld revolution that it started is something we're seeing to this day. We just saw Xbox reveal their new handheld. The PlayStation Portal is a thing that I'll be talking about a little bit later. I think Nintendo once again proved that while they are kind of, excuse me, backwards in a lot of ways in the industry in terms of kind of some of their policies and some of their protocols and that sort of a thing, like they're still kind of at the forefront of the industry when it comes to innovations that affect the entire industry. And it's cool to see because I thought I was done with handheld gaming prior to the Switch. I just kind of felt done with it. Like I love my Vita, I love my PSP, I loved my DS, but it just didn't. I was tired of kind of like sacrificing like horsepower and just kind of the experience on the smaller screens. But now I don't really have to sacrifice anymore. And again, with having a kid and a wife who loves reality TV, like having a handheld console that I can just play on the couch after my son goes to bed while she watches utter trash is like it lets me game more. Like without these devices, I would not be able to play video games really much at all.
No, I
So
get you.
yeah, I'm very excited about the Switch 2. I'm excited to get my hands on it once I get a job. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be my like reward to myself. Once I get my job, I'm going to buy myself a Switch 2 if they're in stock. So
So I just want to talk about one thing. So in this household, I have this is my go-to handheld gaming PC. This is the One X Fly Pro F1. I don't remember the exact order. This
too many
is
words.
this is like the high end. So I have my Ally over here. I replaced my Ally with this because this has like basically the non-stripped down version of the Z2 Extreme. So it's got all the cores, all the fun stuff. It's a very premium device. This feels incredible. I love the he's waving into the screen.
Hello again.
Beautiful,
I'm
beautiful displays.
I'm an influencer for Microsoft, or not Microsoft. No, not yet.
But like, I'm going somewhere with this. This thing has like Hall effect joysticks, Hall effect triggers, OLED panel, all these beautiful things, and I love it. And when I am gaming on the go in a scenario that like I want to use this thing, I love it, and it's great. I run my emulators on it, all that stuff. But do you want to know? Excuse me, cough still won't go away. What my favorite part of the Switch 2 was the other day? I was at work, and I wanted to play my Switch on my break. And normally with the One X, I have to I'm going to plug it in, boot up Windows, do that, load Steam, load the game, whatever, load whatever emulator. This is what I did: is I went into the break room, I hit this little button, I activated this little screen, and I booted the game, and it just started playing. And then later, when I came home, I had put it to sleep, and I opened it back up, and the game was still running. And I was like,
Nintendo taking it back to when game consoles focused on games.
these things are really cool, but until they can, like, until Windows can properly, like, save state a game, and even the Steam Deck can do that. Sorry.
One thing the Steam Deck cannot do is download software when the screen is off, which is
No,
infuriating.
But the Steam Deck can at least save your spot in a game.
Sure.
It is reasonably built to do that, and Windows cannot do that, which is the only downside of like a handheld like this. And I'm hoping that Microsoft's efforts with the Ally X will influence this in the future. But if they can really, I'm not gonna lie, I love this thing. If they can really nail the Ally X, I might be interested.
Dude,
the new Ally X Xbox.
Right. I'm genuinely excited for that because they showed it running Xbox OS.
Yeah.
They specifically made a point of saying, like, you don't have to boot up, go through Windows, all of that stuff. It has a custom Xbox OS. You can access all of your PC launchers on it without any kind of like finagling.
PC in that state. Like my desktop.
Like big picture mode, but Xbox.
Yeah, like if they can really nail that on the X, and if I can't get it to work on this handheld, as much as I don't want to do it, I might end up buying that thing.
I mean, the biggest question with that is the price, obviously.
It's
They have not
probably
announced it.
rumors is going to be around $800, which sucks because we had this early revolution. Ally
Yep.
came out, it was like $600, which was reasonable for what it was, and we've climbed up since then. But I think stuff like the Steam Deck works as like the Switch alternative in the space of like, here's a low cost of entry, and then I look at cat jumped up. Hello, Phineas. And then I look at stuff like the Ally, stuff like the Legion as your PS5s, your maybe traditional Xbox, stuff like that. And then stuff like my One X is like your PS5 Pro. When you want that little extra juice, whatever.
So I guess for Microsoft, are you saying the Xbox Ally X will be about 800? What do you think the baseline Ally will be?
$100 less.
100 less?
Yeah. So we're probably looking at, $799, $699 would be my guess. That lines up with the pricing of the current Ally X. And, you have to imagine that with Microsoft's backing on this, Microsoft's probably putting a good chunk of money into this. They want it to be competitive because they know that market share is small right now. But once you put the Xbox name on it, you can say what you want about the Xbox name. You cannot besmirch it. They have done to do what they have, to deal with what they have dealt with in the console space these last 2 generations, but to still build the strength of their brand, I think is a credit to Phil Spencer and the team at Microsoft for their commitment to that brand. With Game Pass, as much as I'm not a huge fan of like all the studio acquisitions, they seem to finally be doing something with it. And I don't hate Xbox, just because I don't play their console anymore. I'm still a fan of the service and, a lot of the games that they still do put out, assuming that they make a good Halo game again. But,
We'll see.
it's all contingent on that at this point.
But last week, sorry, you finish up your thought.
I was just going to say, I think with them behind the Ally X, I think they're going to want to keep it at a competitive price. And I think it benefits them both, because Asus does not have the name recognition that Microsoft has, that Xbox has, especially in the space. And so being able to put a Steam Deck against an Xbox, in name alone, even, just that's valuable. And that's going to draw eyes. People are going to get there. They're going to be like, yo, Xbox, that's going to be the thing my friends talked about in high school. Yo, is that the Xbox Portable? I got the Xbox Portable? They finally did it? Oh my God. I'm going to play Gears of War.
I mean, strictly just from a marketing perspective, like my parents, if I say Steam, they say, is the water boiling?
Yeah.
They know what they've heard of Xbox, like even just from a straight brand recognition, walking into the store type of deal.
Gamers know what Steam is.
Sure, of course.
People know what Xbox is.
Yes.
And so Xbox is transcendent beyond its medium. Steam, Valve, maybe as a publisher in some capacity is. Steam is really maybe not, unless you're a gamer. Like console gamers know what Steam is. They've all had to debate with somebody about PC versus console, whatever. But like your mom and dad are not going to know what Steam is. My wife probably doesn't know what Steam is off the top of her head. But if I say... Did that come through?
Some volume in unintelligible words, though. Could not hear. I just heard a brief scream and then it ended.
Okay, so prior to meeting me, she did not know what Steam was. No. You wouldn't know what it is off the top of your head. Don't lie to the people. But she would know what an Xbox was. She could identify the Xbox X and be like, oh, it's an Xbox.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
and just to kind of put a capper on Microsoft, like last week was Summer Games Fest and all these surrounding kind of press conference presentations, which Chris and we streamed in person, watching together the main Summer Games Fest show, and boy were we bummed out.
Yeah,
that show had some cool stuff, but most of it was not for us. And then I wish we would have streamed the Microsoft showcase, because I was able to watch that live. And Microsoft, that's one of the best like presentations from Microsoft I've seen ever. There were so many things that they showed that I'm actually interested in playing. And again, with all of that, every single game, of course, coming to Game Pass day one. So again, just continuing to add value, including the Persona 4 remake is coming to Game Pass day one. So
Yeah.
it's Microsoft, for as much as people feel like, and I think to some degree they're absolutely right, that they've kind of abandoned consoles.
I don't think
In
that's an accurate take.
I,
I think
I think compared to the past,
I think
there
they've
was way less of a
accepted
focus.
I think that they have accepted their place in the console space as far as like they are a gateway. They're not like Sony wants to sell you a PlayStation so they can make money on PlayStation. Microsoft wants people in their services like Game Pass. They don't care where you do it, they don't care how you do it. And Xbox is a product that accommodates that. So Xbox is not the main catalyst of it. It is just one of the many ways to engage with it now. So like I look at them as more of like an Amazon now almost, where it's like, Alexa is like the gateway drug to Amazon. Xbox is the gateway drug to Game Pass, for lack of better terminology,
Yeah. I guess what I should have said is the console is not the end focus for them anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I should have phrased it.
No,
But yeah.
not as much a criticism, just like my thoughts on it, because what you said is what a lot of people feel about the situation, and like I understand why people would think that way, but like when you look at the business and the whole idea of everything is an Xbox, that's not the position of somebody who's just like, well, we're losing the console race, so we better do something. That was Game Pass. That was their attempt at that. At this point, everything is an Xbox is just, them flexing the fact we're Microsoft. We have more money than you, and we're just going to put this everywhere because you're going to buy it, because you're going to want to play Call of Duty somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Before we get
that was Switch
totally,
and Xbox talk.
Before we get totally off the Switch, I have to confess something. I don't know if you saw it,
No.
but I decided I needed another Switch 2 game.
You didn't buy that one I put it on your wish list, right?
No, I had
$7 etchy game.
I had some credits at Best Buy, and so I didn't pay $80 for it.
Oh,
I
now
haven't played it yet.
I thought you were. I thought for religious reasons you were against Mario Kart.
I bought Mario Kart.
Why did you buy Mario Kart?
Because I wanted a Switch 2 game.
I'm never going to be able to play it with you.
$30 off.
You'll never let me play it with you, though. So that's no fun.
Maybe this one will be different.
You could beat Melissa a lot.
We can play it together. We can drive around. It'll be like Fuel, but Nintendo.
Nintendo Fuel.
It's Mario Kart, everybody.
Mario Kart World.
Off-road now. Mario Kart World. I bought this. I bought the digital version from Best Buy, and it took them a whopping 24 hours to get me my key.
That's dumb.
Yeah. It's like, at that point, why?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing, Best Buy?
They're like,
we're upset me a little.
We're still not used to this new digital distribution model. Oh no.
Because like my plan was like, okay, I'm gonna buy it. And last night I was like, okay, I'm gonna play it at night, and then I'll wake up, I'll play some Expedition 33 before the show and whatever. And then last night I'm like, okay, well, by the time I'm installing this, I'm not really like feeling it. And so I think I played like 30 minutes of Pokemon. I think I logged into
Expedition 33.
No, I played that this morning. I did play Expedition 33. Don't give me that look. Stop giving me that look. He's judging me. I didn't do anything wrong. I played it. I have more to talk about. I checked like 2 things on Destiny, logged off of that, and then I think I watched YouTube the rest of the night. Because I was just like, man, whatever. Why is he looking at me like that? Do you guys know what's going on? I didn't do anything. He's just staring.
How much Expedition 33 did you play this morning, Chris?
I played about an hour. I completed.
Well, folks,
I got
season
another
4.
party.
This is the end of season
I got
4.
another party member.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completed that whole part, and then huh?
Which one? I forgot where in the game you were.
Oh, I was at the manor.
You're at the manor.
Yeah.
Wait, so did you just get your third party member?
Yes. I haven't played since May.
Keep talking about what you've been playing, Chris. I'm just gonna emotionally recover back here.
So before he like hyperventilates, I actually did have a really good time playing. So the thing is like a game like Expedition 33, I play very slowly. So like I spend some time like respawning the enemies and just fighting and stuff. I feel like I've gotten pretty good at the parrying now. At least with every enemy I have fought so far. I did spend a little bit of time fighting some mobs over because that's just what I like to do. And so I did that, unfortunately, while I still had 2 people in my party. I'm learning... Excuse me. Someday that'll go away. I am learning as I go that nothing is as far out in that game as I think it is, because you think like, oh, we're going to go do this thing. It's going to take like an hour to get there. And then it's like, no, I did the whole thing in an hour, including a little bit of grinding. And I'm like, boy, I should have just did the thing. And so that's a lesson that I'm learning is I need to remember that this is not a 100-hour game. This is like a
30
to 40-hour game. And like I'm just not used to that. I played Rebirth last year, okay? Like,
oh my god, okay, yeah, that's fair. I will. I will say, if you don't want to completely blow the final boss fight out of the water from over leveling, if you want to do that, that's fine. But if you don't, I would stay around level 50 when you get to that point. If you want like a fair challenge,
no, I want to destroy it.
That's
by
what
the time
I figured.
by the time I get there, I want it to be done.
Okay.
I mean, that might be where I end up, because I'm not like, I don't know. I don't know that I'm gonna like. So Expedition 33 has not gotten its grimy, I want 100% it clause in me. But it also hasn't gotten the rebirth exhaustion, which is good. So like when I play it, playing it, I'm like, I'm having a good time. And it's just a game that like I played it for like an hour and I was like, oh, okay. I started later than anticipated, and I was planning on playing more, and then I had to do stuff this morning. And then I'm like, okay, I thought it was more than an hour. That's like, I thought I'd been playing for like 2 hours or something. And then I checked the Steam time. I was like, that was only an hour? Like, I feel like I accomplished a lot in that hour. I was like, there's no way that was just an hour. You got to be kidding me. And so I was like, man, I've been playing this for like 2 hours. I got to get ready for the show. And then I was like, what? So I'm enjoying it. I am still kind of figuring out the nuances of the combat. I like it, and I think it's really good. And like just the parts of it that I'm like, I almost feel like the enemies where I'm at right now just aren't strong enough for me to try and set up the things I want to do. Where I'm like, okay, I want to use this ice ability so I can get these charges for my fire ability, and they're dead.
Yeah.
And so like I haven't gotten to that point where I'm really like chaining these things together in a satisfying way yet, because everything's already dead. And part of that is my fault, because I'm like level 10 or whatever, and it's this zone that's probably like level 7 or 8 or whatever. When I picked up my third party member, she was level 5 and I was level 10. So I'm like, that's probably why.
Yeah, I think
expected me to just go.
I think when I picked the third party member up, I think I was level 7 or 8. I never grinded in that game for any of the main story.
And to be clear, I'm not like grinding like in the traditional, like when we played Final Fantasy VII and I was like, all right, we got to stop in Juna,
right,
in Union or whatever, however they say it, I don't remember. I played Rebirth, and that's how much I retained. Junon, I think it's
Matthew Judon.
Yeah. Gonna be a Steeler soon. Joining Arthur Smith. The legacy continues. when we got there in Final Fantasy VII in the original, I was like, okay, we're gonna grind here for a little bit and get to like level 50, and it's gonna make the rest of the game a breeze. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just like, okay, I fought this big dude at the anvil, and they were like, oh, they're making things. They have intelligence. I'm like, cool, and that fight was fun, and I was like, I want to do it again. And so I found the little flag, and I finally noticed that all the flags have the different numbers of the expeditions that placed them. Because I saw 60, I was like, "Oh, hey, that's cool. I like
it's a super
that.
cool small touch." Yeah,
I was like, "That's pretty awesome." They were talking about them. I know these guys. I saw you. You're dead. Spoilers. But yeah, and I'm like, this is cool. It's a little Expedition 68. I'm like, a bunch of old people were here. That's pretty wild.
God. Well, I'm glad you're still enjoying it.
I was like, yo, I'm getting good at this parry thing. Like, this is awesome.
Well, I'm glad you are still enjoying it.
I am. I do want to start putting more time. The problem is like sometimes I just get in like such a weird place because like I get home from work, I'm relaxing, and it's like unless I have something planned, like again, half the reason I play something like Destiny is just because I can turn my brain off. I can watch a Twitch stream and play Destiny, and I'm not missing anything from either of them, right? But if I'm playing Expedition 33 and I'm trying to watch, Carney Jared FC Solus 4110, which he did last night. Props to Carney Jared.
Those were all made up words. Continue.
Yes. Is a very hard song played at 110%. He got it last night. I knew he could do it. But I'm watching that, and I'm like, this is cool. He's really close. I feel like he's going to get this. I can't play Expedition 33 and then watch this dude play Clone Hero. You can't. I'm going to miss it. And so that becomes part of the problem. The other thing too is like the other night I came home and I really wanted to stream, and I was like, I play Oblivion on my stream when I'm not playing Destiny. So I ended up playing Oblivion, and I did the whole not the Fighters Guild, the arena in like 2 hours, less than 2 hours. I did the whole arena because I'm like level 25, and I was like, these guys are not ready. Like I'm talking to the guy, he's like, you suck, get in there. I'm like, okay, and I run in, and he get play. All right, maybe you suck a little less now, and I'm like, okay, I want to go back, and he's like, all right, go, I guess. I'm like, like a little gremlin. I'm like, let me in. I love that one because when you meet the Grey Prince before you do the arena and you talk to him, and he's like, oh yeah, can you help me figure out my lineage? I'm like, yeah, sure, bro. Completely forgot. Spoilers for Oblivion, the 19-year-old video game that was recently remastered, that his dad is a vampire, and so he's half orc, half vampire. And when you tell him, he's just like, oh, shit. That sucks for me, dog. And so you finally go and fight him. He's like, just kill me. Like, no, this sucks, man. You can't just do this. And he's like, nah. I'm good, bro. You're the grand champion now. Kill me. Oh, so good. But yeah. The other side of that is because I didn't start by streaming Expedition 33. I'm not going to stream Expedition 33. Right. Excuse me. Nobody wants to come into that playthrough already in progress, which is why I didn't stream it in the first place, because nobody wants to come into that having missed 2 streams and be like, oh, Expedition 33. I don't want spoilers. Bye. This cough, man. I just... Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad for me because it's triggered when I talk, and you know me.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just coughing constantly. But yeah. Well, I'm happy you're still playing it.
I'm enjoying it. The more I play the more I like it.
That's good. Since the last time we spoke, I 100%ed and platinumed the game, and I'm sad there's not more. I could New Game Plus it, which I've thought about, but I'm sad.
I know. I know that feeling.
Yeah. So, Expedition 33, you should play it.
I mean, there's no way that they don't do another one of those in some capacity.
Yeah,
whether you do like an earlier expedition that fails, but you get to kind of play through some cool stuff, or if they do like a similar concept in like a different setting.
Yeah, it's. I think they said the Claire Obscure part is like the world ish, like how it's like Assassin's Creed Shadows. Like the Claire Obscure is the Assassin's Creed part, and
Yeah.
then Expedition 33 is the Shadows part. Yeah, it could be a previous expedition. It could be something that you have no idea about. That's incredibly fascinating and becomes a much larger plot point later on. Um, which would also be really cool because they briefly mention it in the game and don't go into it and leave it pretty open and mysterious.
I can already tell
So
you,
that,
like, I would be really interested if they did like a prequel game to like just like how did the Paintress ever come to be? What did this world look like before all that? What led to these events? And like that could be a neat game, I feel like.
yeah, it
Okay,
could
that's
be
what I
a neat
that's what you're
game.
talking about. Okay, cool. Figured that out.
Yeah, it could be a pretty cool game,
All
man.
right. Spoiling myself. I'm
Expedition
too smart. I'm
33.
too damn smart for my own good.
um, but what else have you been playing?
I mean,
Because I have a long list of stuff that I'm gonna hit relatively quickly. But
yeah. I mean, Oblivion, playing the stuff we talked about on Switch. I did play Night Rain, Elden Ring,
oh yeah,
Night
yep,
Rain. That's a video game.
yep,
That is a video game that is made by From Software, but feels like a video game that would be made by somebody who wanted to try and be From Software. It's weird because it's a run-based game. There's like the ring that closes, and so you're like running around. And I was playing with two people who had like a little bit of playtime in it prior to me. I played about 3.5 hours my first session. Unfortunately, I haven't played it since because I haven't had the time. But you pick a character, and that character is your skill set. You have abilities now. So like the base character has like this grapple hook that they can use to grapple to enemies and stuff and pull them in or pull themselves towards them. And then they have like kind of like a super ability that is like this big like cannon that they fire off their arm that's really dope. They use a great sword. That was the character I spent the most time with so far. Because that's my play style from those games traditionally is the greatsword. And then a lot of the enemies are just really agile, which is my greatest weakness as the greatsword user, is that the enemies are faster than I can swing. And so, boy, they do have a lot of like the weapons, like Rivers of Blood and stuff like that exist in the game.
that's
And they
cool.
have like enhanced abilities. And when you defeat the bosses in like each day, you get like these big upgrades. And so like Cypher, aka Tony, who we were playing with, he was doing a blood build. And so I got an upgrade that like when somebody causes bleeding, I get a 30% damage buff. And so I was like, cool. Keep bleeding them, pal. you know? And I'm just like, I'm gonna be over here just benefiting. And you can like get materials to like upgrade your weapons and stuff like that. We made it to the final day 3 boss, I think twice, and just couldn't beat it. It is tough. And there's no like it's not that there's no persistent progression. Like there's stuff, like there's resources that you leave with that you can spend on stuff. I am not currently aware of any like persistent progression. And that's the thing with like these Souls games. It's like in the past, it's like, oh, I'm hitting my head against this boss. I can't beat it. I'll just go kill a bunch of junk, get some souls, level up a couple times. Maybe I can upgrade my weapon or do this. And that's going to give me a little bit of an edge. Maybe I need more health or something like that. And that's what you do, and you fix the problem. You can't do that in Night Rain. And so Night Rain is a much faster game, but it is a much more like skill heavy game, and that's not a bad thing. It's fun in the way that it goes against kind of the expectations you have for those games. It's a little faster than I think I would like, but again, I'm the explorer type. I want to explore every nook and cranny. The way I play those games does not work in Night Rain. Night Rain is very much you need to go, okay, there's this church on the map. We need to go there, get this so we can get more potions, and then we need to get here. There's an item we can get. There's lightning we can get. There's whatever we can get, and it's a game where you have to keep moving. And when I want to kill the random little mobs and stuff like that, I get stuck. And then the circle's coming, and it's like, oh shit, I need to get there across the map because they're already doing the thing. I need to get there. And like leveling up, like you go to the site of grace, you just hit level up. It's like, cool, you're level 7 now, have fun. And then like if you die and don't get revived, like there's a down state, and you have to attack people to revive them. And yeah, it's weird, but it works.
It's like Borderlands, shooting people to heal them.
Yeah, kind of. So, you can get them up from the down state, but if they die, you lose a level, but you come back. And so, like, that's the trade-off. Is like you don't want to die because you get weaker. Because you can't lose, you lose your souls that you have and stuff because you still have like runes and whatever. But like as somebody who likes to take their time and explore that world, I can't do that, and that's a little frustrating for me personally. In trying to play that because it's too fast for what I want to do. I plan to play more of it now. Once I started kind of playing by the game's rules. It started to be more fun because I started getting stronger, and next thing you know, I'm level where I was only getting to level 5. Now I'm level 7, level 8. I'm getting fully upgraded gear. I'm getting ultra rare drops and whatever, and I'm like, okay, cool, this is neat. And then I still got my ass handed to me by that boss, and so I was like, all right. But
yeah, it feels like where Elden Ring was very much about the world and exploring it, this is more so much more action-y.
This is more about the moment-to-moment combat.
This is where you went from like a BioShock to a BioShock Infinite, whereas like BioShock 1, I loved exploring every nook and cranny. BioShock Infinite, it was combat arena after combat arena, and you just kept moving. Much less focus on exploration, and I'll probably never play Night Rain. I appreciate it for what it is, but yeah, it's just not for me.
I wouldn't say like if you're being a fan of Elden Ring does not immediately make Night Rain like required content. You don't have to like Elden Ring and therefore you have to like Night Rain. That's not how it works. Night Rain is not going to be as popular as Elden Ring. It's just not going to happen. I do like that they're at least embracing co-op in some capacity, and I hope that the next game they make is a true co-op experience. I would love for them to make one of these games that is just, hey, you can play it solo, but we want you to play it in co-op. But like, again, like FromSoft still just doesn't understand. And so like you can do it solo or you can do it in trios, but you can't do duos. And it's like, they just didn't design the game around that. And it's like, but why though? It's a little head scratcher of like, okay, but why? Why would you not do this thing that seems to make a lot of sense? Like, why would you not do it? Like, so you can queue in and matchmake with a third person, but like, you can't just go in with your one homie and just be like, yeah, let's just do this, man. No, you have to get a random person if you don't have a third friend, which is weird. And so, take that as you will. I wonder what the tail on this game is going to be, because I feel like from what I've already played, I feel like it's going to have like a strong push initially, but it's going to be a game like I don't see the long-term draw where Elden Ring had like all the new game pluses and all that stuff and all these new things. The PvP and stuff like that, if you want that, the expansions, and Night Rain is going to get more content and more characters, but I just don't see this being like a destination game, oddly in the same way that Elden Ring was, considering that was a traditionally single-player-ish game. I don't know that Night Rain has the legs that Elden Ring had, and so I'll be interested to see what happens to that.
Yeah. Do we know? Have we heard any sales numbers on it?
I think it did like 3.5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was always going to sell well. But it's not the traditional FromSoft, banger. It's not that. And
Yeah.
I wonder if that changes how they approach certain things in the future, like with these spin-off games and stuff like that. I totally can see and understand why they would want to try this. I don't blame them. I almost wonder if it would have been like better to just be like, yeah, it's like a DLC for Elden Ring and it just plays differently rather than like a full on separate game. I don't know if it again, I my concern is that it doesn't have the tail. And it's like once people start beating these bosses, what is there? But that's coming from somebody who hasn't beaten one of the bosses yet. So, take that with a grain of salt. I could be missing a whole chunk of this game. But I mean, it's cool, but it's not like I want more of like a Monster Hunter and less of a battle royale.
Sure. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. Excuse me. The only other thing I really have to talk about that I have been playing, as I showed you just before we got on here, is I've been playing more of the Dead Zone Rogue, the roguelike FPS that's kind of been my go-to, like, funny enough, that has, in recent days, that has been my go-to, like, mindless, I just want to play something while I do something else. I'm going to play Dead Zone. It used to be Destiny. Sometimes it was like Balatro or Nubby or something, and it's like now it's Dead Zone.
Yeah.
And that game is fun. And the more I play around with it, and the more I start kind of playing around with different builds and stuff, I'm like, I really want to spend more time with this game.
Yeah.
I really want to try the co-op. That's the thing at this point.
And which is interesting because traditionally not a huge roguelike guy unless it really kind of hits something that you like. So the fact that this is doing that is interesting. And it's early access, correct?
It is, yes. So I'm trying to think. Because there is other roguelike stuff that I play. I mean, I guess Balatro technically.
Balatro, yeah.
But I can't really pull up. Hold on. I can't really pull up Steam. It's going to block your camera. Let me pull up my library on my phone here and just see like, okay, yeah, recent. So yeah, Dead Zone, Nubby's Number Factory, which is a tragedy in its current state. Yeah, I mean, Vampire Survivors, not really roguelike, but like kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, Halls of Torment, which is like Vampire Survivors. So it's not a lot of roguelikes, but the ones that I do like, I tend to like a lot. It's why I binged Hades to get those clears finally, and God, that felt so good. I remember it was like one day, it was like before the Game Awards or something, right? Didn't I get my first clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sweet. That was awesome. But yeah, like the cool thing about this one is because it's a shooter, it's not like I'm just inherently more familiar with it because it's not a side scroller, it's not a top down, it's not any of these other things. It is, here is this thing, put gun in my hand. Do I like gun? Yes, cool. Keep gun for a run. Do I not like gun? No. Okay, get new gun as quickly as possible.
For not being a COD bro, sound a lot like a COD bro.
I know, and I just uninstalled. I was going to play Black Ops 6. I had it installed on Game Pass since it came out. I just uninstalled it because I was like, I'm never going to play this thing. I don't know who I'm kidding. Like, I heard it was really good. I wanted to try it, but I was like, nah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, I really like that. I really want to try the co-op and see how things differ. Because so I'm still in the first zone of that game, and there's multiple zones throughout that ship. So it looks like each zone has like 30-ish levels, and maybe that's the part that they're expanding. Maybe there'll be more. Maybe there'll be endless in the future. I don't know yet. But like I've gotten all the way to the final room in my current zone, and I just can't beat that room. And the last couple times I was running, I felt pretty good about my chances, and that, somehow got murdered by the second boss. That really pissed me off. And then the run before that, my game crashed. Just locked up and crashed. And I was like, no, I was really feeling good about this one. Like, this could have been the run.
Yeah. It's is there persistent progression
So
across
yes,
runs?
there is
Okay.
some persistent. So you pick up. There's currencies in the game that. So like the little yellow things
Right.
you pick up are scrap. Those are like your money for your in-run upgrades. You lose scrap when you leave. But there's also, I think it's data fragments. They're little purple doodads, silvery purpley
Hmm.
doodads that give you points that you can put into persistent upgrades before your run. So there's like a little terminal at the start. You can go there. You could be like, all right, I want to buy this upgrade. That's going to give me 10% more damage with my gun. And it looks like there are multiple tiers of upgrades. So when I complete this one, there's going to be another page that opens up that has more upgrades, or maybe it's from the next, section or whatever. But there's different upgrades that I will eventually be able to get that I have not seen yet. But the
Nice.
ones
Okay.
that like I can get now are kind of like your basics, like increase weapon damage, increase elemental damage, increase proc chance, crit chance, health drops, how much health you get healed, your shield capacity, how quickly does it recharge, things like that. Um, Dead Zone kind of almost has like a weird like kind of Halo vibe to it. It's got a little bit more of the movement shootery kind of feel with like your dash and stuff like that. But
Right.
kind of at its core, it almost has like that Halo simplicity of just like get a good gun in your hands and then just slay. And then it's just got like abilities on top of that. It's really like if you kind of took some of the cool things that like Destiny does with some of its guns and you toned it down to like a earlier kind of Halo level, like a Halo 3 but faster,
Okay. Yeah.
then that's kind of where Dead Zone sits, because it's not a movement shooter like a Destiny. It's definitely not a movement shooter like a Titanfall or anything like that. But it's just a hair faster than like a Halo. But maybe like a Halo 5, but it's fun, unlike Halo 5 in my opinion. So, it's got that
Fair.
going for it. Um,
Fair.
the AI is not the brightest, but I also understand why, because like you could walk into a room and like all the AI, you could get spotted by one, and then if they all converged on you, you would just be done for. So it's kind of like a line of sight thing. If they see you, they will react, but until they see you, you could be around the other side of the wall, blowing shit up, shooting stuff, whatever. Until they see you or you shoot them, they won't react to you. So you can kind
Okay.
of like manhandle the room a little bit. You can be like, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do this, kill this group of guys. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to deal with this group of guys. And then I'm going to kite this guy around while I swing around and get these guys. And then I'm going to turn around and finish that guy off. And so there's room for strategy, which is something I also really like. So if I want to put the thought into it, and some of my most fun runs are the ones where I actually like take the time to think it through. There are some runs where I just go in guns blazing. First thing I see, bah, 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 and it's just like, all right, we're fighting now. But sometimes if you take the time to assess the room, Batman style, it's like, okay, so if I do this, I can get that guy. He's over there. He's not going to be a problem for a while. I'm going to just take out all these small guys, and I'm going to swing on him, and we're going to be golden. And sometimes it's fun too, because you get runs where it's like, I got a really good gun, but I have like no armor, so I'm just this glass cannon where I'm like, I really like my gun, but the game just will not drop me armor, and so
Right.
I'm gonna
Right.
die. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what happened in that run that you watched. I don't think I was fully kitted for armor, and so those guys were really messing me up.
Yeah. And
So
yeah, I mean, just watching you play it, it looks like a lot of fun. I'm a huge roguelite person. I love roguelites. So I do want to give it a go at some point.
it is
For
it is
sure.
a ton of fun. It's more fun for a game that I saw in a Reddit ad. It is a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And I
That's
wasn't
crazy.
expecting. It was one of those games where there was a demo, and I was like, "What have I got to lose?" And I played the demo. I was like, "Wait just a minute. There's
Right.
something here, and I like it." So that's gonna be like a sleeper for my end of the year. That's gonna be like maybe like my BSB game of the year kind of thing, where it just kind of sneaks in. Like you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that Necromunda game. It
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
reminds me
Yeah.
of Necromunda Hired Gun, and I loved that game because it was just unapologetically like just B shooter that was just like, this is fun, right? What if this kind of felt like Doom? Isn't that kind of crazy? And it's Warhammer, and here's a grappling hook, and I don't have all those tools, but it reminds me a lot of that, and it's fun. I can't wait to see more of it.
Hmm. Nice. Yeah. It's something I'm definitely going to check out for sure.
I definitely, even if you're not a huge shooter fan, it's there's something there. It's not punishing for those who are not as like shooter adept. And there's different difficulties. So I'm playing on hard. There's a normal and an easy that I have access to so far. I'm playing on hard because I was playing on normal and I was getting through the runs. I switched to hard. I'm like, I want more resources, and that's the thing, more enemy health, but you get more resources, more
Right.
persistent upgrade resources and stuff. And I was like, cool. I'm gonna play. It's a game that I was like, I'm gonna play on hard, and I'm having a good time. So that's the best praise I can give it.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Okay.
All right, man.
Is it me?
Yes, it's all you, my
Okay.
friend.
Okay, there's going to be a smattering of games here as I spit onto my mic. Okay, number one, restarted Baldur's Gate 3. I've restarted that game and made new characters about 6 or 7 times. Just hasn't clicked for some reason as much as I wanted to. And then after I beat Expedition 33, I wanted more Jennifer English, who was the voice actress for Mael and is the voice actress for Shadowheart. So I was like, this is a good enough reason tangentially for me to start the game again.
You're going
So,
super pro Shadowheart, aren't you? Just whatever makes
yep,
her happy. Yeah. All
sure.
right.
Yeah, yep. So yeah, I think I've put like 3 or 4 hours into that, and I'm having a lot more fun with it. I can't put my finger on why I'm having more fun with it.
What are you playing as? What class?
I'm playing as one of the new subclasses they introduced in the most recent, I think, patch 8, I think, the Hexblade Warlock.
Cool.
So I'm Eldritch blasting everything to Kingdom Come, which is fun.
Nice.
I'm running, my crew is myself and then Asterion for mostly lockpicking and stealth stuff, and then Shadowheart for cleric, and then I got Karlach for my barbarian physical bruiser character. So yeah, that game is super good, man. It's just, I think traditionally I find it's so funny because I love turn-based RPGs, but like menu turn-based RPGs, like JRPG-esque JRPGs, not like tactical turn-based. I don't know what to call it. I guess it's a CRPG, I guess. For some reason, I just find myself losing interest quickly with them, but I have found myself playing more and enjoying it more. And I think part of that is due to the new monitor. Chris gifted me a hand-me-down ultra-wide monitor.
It's not a hand-me-down. Not a hand-me-down about that monitor. That thing costs
hand-me-down
more
and
than
the fact
my
that
monitor.
hand-me-down to the fact that we're not using it at all. So I think that might play a part of it, but I'm having a lot of fun with it.
It's beautiful.
That's
Beautiful
yeah.
game on that monitor.
Yeah.
I know.
I put probably about 5 or 6 hours into Blueprints. I was playing that on Game Pass, the other kind of darling of the year so far. And I put about 5 or 6 hours into it, then I uninstalled it. It's an interesting game. It is a roguelike puzzle game. Traditionally, I'm bad at puzzle games. The $40 or however much it was I spent on The Witness still haunts me to this day, because no chance in hell I was ever going to figure out 90% of that stuff. My brain is not wired that way. But I thought I'd give Blueprints a shot because it was on Game Pass, and I had a lot of fun with it. But I felt like I was learning things too slowly, and I was getting frustrated too much, to the point where I watched a couple of videos just like on like maybe advanced tips of like how to kind of progress the main thread. And it was stuff like, oh, there's paintings throughout the manor and they all mean something. And I'm like, I'm having a hard enough time finding all the interactables in a room. And then if you find a magnifying glass in some of the documents you find, you can see hidden text or little text. And I'm like, this is too much. And I know if I keep going, I'm just going to get very frustrated. And I think the game is a lot of fun, and it's very true. Early on, the game tells you like you should probably have like pen and paper with you to take notes on stuff. And I'm like, this is awesome. If I love puzzle games, that would be my game of the year because it's so cool. Like the whole premise is that you're the nephew or grandson of this very wealthy person, very wealthy man who left you with a task to reach room number 46 in his 45 room manor. And so you're entering the manor, you're entering in the front entryway, and then it splits off into two doors on the sides and one door in the front. And when you go to one of the doors, you basically draft a room. So that's the roguelike component of it, is you get a choice of three rooms. So like you could get and you have a limited amount of basically stamina per day. So you get 50 steps per day, and you lose a step every time you go into a room. So you can't just play endlessly. That's how it kind of handles that. But so, for example, off the main entryway, you could draft a bedroom, and when you enter that room, you get 2 additional steps back to your stamina count for the day. You could build just a straight up hallway where the door at the end will always be unlocked, and you can continue to build off of it. So it's interesting. The further north you get in the building, the more locked doors there will be to kind of get in your way. So there are specific rooms where like a closet or like a supply closet where you can build it, but it's a dead end. You can't build off of it, but it will have a key in it, gem in it, which are both important resources. So you're kind of trying to build a path to the very top of the manor where you think room 46 is. But you'll run into roadblocks where you'll get pretty far, and then the only options you have for rooms on the last door that's you can possibly build off of are either dead ends or they curve back into a pre-existing you have. And if you have no path forward, you have to end the day, basically. And then when you end the day, the following day, all the rooms are reset. You start back from the entryway, and you go again. There's a handful of permanent upgrades. I only found one. But other than that, there's so many different kinds of rooms in the game. There's bedrooms, which always give you steps back, but most of them are dead ends. There's kind of like greenery areas where they oftentimes will have a few different doors off of them, so you have options on where to build, as well as a lot of times they'll have a shovel. So in dirt patches, you can dig up, find coins, you can find junk, you can find whatever. Eventually, I was able to draft a workshop where you can combine items. So like I had a metal detector and a shovel, and I put them together. And so I just had one thing that did both all the time, which was
That
great.
sounds convenient.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds like an infomercial. Like, oh, doesn't this suck? What if you could have both in one?
Yeah, yeah. Like, it's a super cool game. I'm just not smart enough for it, is really what it comes down to. I think you should try it because I think your brain works in an interesting way
In
where
an interesting way. I love how you put that.
I think you'll either bounce off really fast or it will consume you. And I'm not sure which one
That's
it'll
what I'm
be.
afraid
It's on
of.
it's
Every
on
time
Game Pass,
you
so just try it.
you were talking, and I was like, "Oh, he finally convinced me not to try this game." And then you were talking about it. I was like, "Man, it sounds like I should try this game." And then I was like, "No, but maybe, but no, but maybe."
There's a ton
Ugh.
of cool stuff, man. There's a ton of cool stuff. You should try it. You should try the game.
All right.
It's on Game Pass. You
Yeah,
don't
I
have to
know.
buy
I
it.
know. I know.
But in terms of PC, those are the two that I've been playing the most. And then PS5 is really the main thing I've been playing. So, like I mentioned, I finished in Platinum Expedition 33. It's my game of the year, probably game of the decade so far. I love everything about that game. except some of the optional platforming challenges, which I love a good platforming challenge in a game that's not supposed to be focused on platforming. Like, I love platforming in Guild Wars 2. Man, it's not supposed to be good and it's not good, but I find it fun. Uh, it's frustrating in Expedition, but uh, started Dragon Age the Veilguard because I think
Nice.
either this month or last month it was one of the free PS Plus games. So I downloaded that. I think I've put 4 or 5 hours into it. I think it's really fun.
Yeah,
That
it
game got
is.
dunked on so much.
It got dunked on by chuds.
But I'm playing because I can't get Expedition 33 out of my mind. I basically made Ben Starr's character from Expedition 33, and I'm playing as him. But the combat is so fast and fluid. The upgrade tree I actually really like so far. And I guess some context is that I've never finished another Dragon Age game. And I feel like a lot of the criticisms, especially came from like people who are very familiar with the series. So maybe if I played all the other games, I would think this one is garbage or whatever, even though on Metacritic it has like an 85 or something.
Yeah, because it's actually a good game.
Yeah. But like some of the voice acting and dialogue has been a little not great so far. I almost attribute that just down to the voice direction for a couple of the companions, honestly. But the combat is fun. I'm still parrying. Expedition 33 got me to start parrying. I'm never going to stop ever again. I'm parrying as a rogue right
You're
now.
ready for Dark Souls.
Yep, yep. Um, but yeah, it's a really pretty game. The story already kind of has its hooks in me with kind of the inciting incident within the first hour or so involving Solus.
Yes.
And it's just a game that I find myself thinking about coming back and being like, okay, yeah, further on in that skill tree, I want to get to that because that looks really awesome. And yeah, it's a game I want to see to the end, just because I'm enjoying it so much so far. It's a really cool game that had such a media cycle around it, which is a shame because I think that series has been going to be put to bed for quite some time
And it's a
after
shame
Veilguard.
because, like, I
But
really feel like Veilguard has the potential. Like, Veilguard could have led to a future. Like, you could take that game co-op. You could take that game more in like a
mhm,
real time kind of Baldur's Gate direction. Looking at the success of Baldur's Gate 3, Veilguard was never going to do that. And I'm not sitting here saying that it should have. But when you look at like what Larian did for that franchise, and it's like Dragon Age has the potential to be a franchise like that. Like anything EA publishes, for better or for worse, has the potential to be an absolute hit. And the thing that stops EA is their shareholders and Andrew Wilson's obsession with can I put cards in it and can I sell them to players for money? Andrew Wilson is an awful, awful CEO and just has no vision. And like Dragon Age of Veilguard suffered because it was a weird multiplayer game at the start. It was a game as a service game that got converted into a single player game. And so you see a lot of like the trappings still in there. But like had that game been able to be developed the right way from the start, it excuse me. I have no doubt it would have been another exceptional entry into the storied Dragon Age franchise. It also is a game that came out probably 3 years later than it should have.
yeah.
Like, if that game
Because
had hit,
Inquisition was 2014, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and 11 years later, here's Veilguard. If that game had hit, 2022, hell, even 2023, when Baldur's Gate was all the talk, if you could have gotten Veilguard out then in a complete state, I'm not saying to rush it, but like in a complete state, if you could have gotten it out then, you could have built off of that hype of Baldur's Gate, people finishing Baldur's Gate. I need another high fantasy game. Oh, hey, here's Dragon Age, which is a different take on that. I think they could have drawn a much stronger audience. And like I would love to see like a co-op one of those. Like I would love to play that with my buddies. But Veilguard makes me believe that if they do this new Mass Effect right from the start, I feel like they could make a real damn good Mass Effect. And so Veilguard gives me confidence for the future of BioWare. I just wish EA had half as much confidence in that studio as I did, because they would actually, take care of them. And I just despise Andrew Wilson. Like, the whole thing with like EA as a whole, I just like they just feel like they want to make sports games and only sports games, and it just, you guys, you're gonna ruin everything. You're gonna just ruin everything
Worst
because
company in America.
Andrew Wilson has no vision for anything that doesn't have a service tail. And so, like, that's why when he looks at something like Dragon Age, it's not how much is this going to sell? Yeah, he's looking at that, but it's how much is this going to sell 2 years from now? How is it still going to be making a profit 2 years from now? Just make a goddamn video game, Andrew. Let the people who make the goddamn video games make the goddamn video games. If video game leadership took a step back and actually let these people be creative and do shit, we probably wouldn't have as many layoffs. We'd probably sell a lot more games because the games would all be better.
Expedition 33. The execs of that studio left Ubisoft because they were bored.
CEOs get in the way. Shareholders get in the way. Shareholders, you suck. You're awful. You're
Andrew
ruining
Wilson
video games.
Is identical to the main villain in Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I
Yeah,
remember when they announced that, it was like 1-to-1.
Yeah, like, these shareholders who don't care, and they're just like, oh, profits. FIFA Ultimate Team. How do EAFC Ultimate Team? How are you gonna get me more money? I need to buy another yacht.
Well, funny you mentioned BioWare. We'll come back to them in just a second. I have been playing a couple of roguelites here and there. I've been playing more Slay the Spire, and I've been getting more into Dicey Dungeons, which I bought a long time ago, and is a lot of fun. I wanted to turn my brain off game as well, so I had it in my PS Plus backlog from who knows when. So I went through for the first time and played and platinumed Goat Simulator, because why not?
All right.
What a dumb game.
Yeah. All right.
But the main thing.
Did Geo watch?
No.
I feel like he would think it was silly and like
Probably, yeah. Funny you mentioned the next Mass Effect, because it's on sale for like $5. So I bought the Legendary Collection on PS5.
All right.
And restarted up Mass Effect 1. And man, it's crazy that game came out almost 20 years ago. Yeah. And that the hooks and initial setup and world building are so enticing that it feels like I'm back in 2007. Yep. Like, the hooks from the beginning are there. I just, for reference of where I am, I just became a Spectre.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm still obviously super early, but I did take a screenshot once I got my crew assembled, the boys that I partied with back in Mass Effect 1. Garrison, it was always Rex. A Garrison Rex party. Yeah. Yep. Always Garrison Rex party. But also I've been in like a platinum hunting mood recently as well. And my God, the legendary version of Mass Effect 1 is 500 times easier than the original release. So I was like,
is there a platinum bonus for each game?
There's a platinum for each game, and there is a trophy list for the Legendary Collection as a whole, but that does not have a platinum. Okay. It has a bunch of goals and stuff, like beating every game on Insanity, that sort of a thing. But yeah, each game has its own new like achievement trophy list from the original. Because in the original, you had to play through the game like 3 or 4 times because you had to spend like 90% of the game having like these two companions in your party, and then you had to spend another playthrough with like other 2 companions in your party to get that achievement. But here it's like, I think, complete like 5 missions with each party member to get their like trophy.
Okay.
But that's it. You don't have to like have multiple playthroughs. There's no like, in the actual trophy list, there's no difficulty related trophy at all. Just on the joint list. So, but yeah, man, it's like it reminded me, even just the couple of hours in that I am, like how much is riding on this new Mass Effect game. Like with how Andromeda ended up, like they can't have a public disappointment as unwarranted as it might be, as it has for Veilguard, and have the same thing happen for Mass Effect. Like that will bury any non-sports games moving forward for EA. Um, like it's like again, Mass Effect 1 is arguably the worst game of the trilogy, but I'm already falling in love with it again so much, almost like uh you in Oblivion right now,
Yep.
where it's like rediscovering like an old favorite that like haven't played in forever. But it's
In
like
my opinion,
putting
the best video game trilogy of all time.
yeah, it's I'm honestly very curious to see how I'm gonna feel about it this time
I
around.
love Mass Effect so much because it's everything I want. It's a great RPG. As you play them, the gameplay gets so much better, and the only thing it's not is Star Trek, but it's as close as I'll ever get to like a triple A Star Trek RPG.
Yeah, yeah, because I was one of those people when I beat Mass Effect 3 when it was out in 2012, whenever that was,
Yeah,
where I was like, I can't stand the ending, and the indoctrination theory is so much better than what BioWare wrote. And I like it honestly soured my like feelings of the franchise because I was so invested in all these characters, and then watching the side by side ending comparison on YouTube and seeing the slightly different colors and being like, oh, okay, I wish they would have just committed to one ending and not
yeah,
have three half-assed endings. But obviously, the Legendary Collection includes like the DLC and everything that came as a response to all of that
and
stuff.
that's the thing because I never played another playthrough of that after beating
Mhm.
it of three,
Yeah.
and so like I never played any of the DLC.
Oh, the DLC
And
was good.
so, yeah, I know, and I want to go back and I want to have that party
Yeah,
with my
the party was
people,
so good.
my
The party
party
was so much
people.
fun. Yeah.
Um, but like, I got to get back to that because I was playing. Excuse me. I was playing and streaming Mass Effect One, and I was having a good
Mhm.
time with it. I was doing a completionist run. I was like, okay, I'm going. I'm gonna hit every planet, everything. I'm gonna find out. I still have a Google Keep with all the planets I've done. Just so I
Nice.
can keep track of which ones are complete. Yeah, planets explored in Mass Effect. Excuse me. So I can go through and just hit them all,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's so good.
It's great. And it's like it looks so sharp now. The film grain from '07 is gone. It's
And even
60
one feels
frames.
better, feels a lot better
It
now. Like
does. It
they
does.
didn't tweak it too much that it's like that it's a completely different game, but like they tweaked enough of it that it feels better. I think the sprint actually works now. It's not
It
just an
does.
FOV shift, if I
Oh my
remember
god.
correctly.
You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
It was like the year before they were like, "Oh, Gears of War, they do the roadie run where they like crouch down and just sprint in a direction. We should do that." And then they forgot to increase the movement speed,
Yeah.
but kept the camera angle. I remember that from back in the day because I that was
I
one of the
remember,
first
yeah.
things when I landed on Eden Prime, I held down sprint and I was like, "Oh my god, he's actually moving. He's actually
Yeah, no,
sprinting
he
now."
not. I though I'm not trying to like come off as like some you can't pull one over on me. But I remember thinking that back in the day. I was like, I don't actually think he's moving faster. I think they just moved
He's
the
not.
camera up.
Yeah.
I wasn't as familiar with that trick at the time, but I was like,
Hmm.
sprint. I just don't think it's. I don't think it's doing anything. But maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, I want to play through the trilogy again. Again, I'm super curious to see if I still hate the final boss of 2 as much as I did previously, and if I still dislike the ending of 3 as much as I did originally, or if time has kind of softened both of those.
From what I've heard, the redone endings are better. They're still not great, but they're
Mhm.
better. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you want me to say anything about like any of them, but like I looked up the remastered version of my ending that they redid.
Yeah.
So you remember in the original where it's like, okay, like the canon ending, in my opinion, is the red one where you pick you kill all synthetic life.
Mhm.
That was what I did, and I was like, but the Geth. So in the redone ending, you don't kill the Geth, you just kill the Reapers.
That completely changes that ending. Like
Exactly. And that's also
that
the ending that Shepard probably survives, which makes it way better because now my boy Legion is alive too. Let's go.
Yeah, because I originally picked the green ending because of the Geth and because of Legion, because I was like,
There's
they don't
only
deserve to
I
die.
was in it to kill the goddamn Reapers. The Reapers were going to die, man. I had one
Yeah.
job and one job only. It was to kill the goddamn Reapers.
But that
I'm
yeah,
sorry, Geth, but the Reapers have to go.
but that
Yeah,
completely changes that end to where that's not a bad ending anymore.
right.
That that's crazy that they did that. That's
Yeah, well, because
wild.
they knew, because, like, dude, that whole, like, spoilers for the 13-year-old Mass Effect 3 incoming, that completely killed that whole, what's Tali's planet?
Well, I don't remember. I just remember the flotilla. I don't remember the home planet.
Because, like, that's the whole thing. I remember when Zane was deployed and he was playing Mass Effect 3 for the first time, and he
Hmm.
was playing it on a PS3 that he didn't have his saves. And so he got to that point where you're on her planet and you have to choose between um what's the name of her race again? Oh my god.
The Quarians.
Quarians, thank you. You have to choose between the Quarians and the Geth. And if you
Yeah.
have a save with enough Renegade or Paragon, you can save them both. Zane could
Yep.
not.
Oh, I
So
did. Yeah.
Zane stopped playing the game, got in touch with his wife, had her send his PS3 over, and he started it from the beginning so he could get the ending he wanted. And I respect the shit out of that. I would have done the same exact thing. But
But
like,
I mean, that's part of what made the red ending originally so difficult to choose because you had that moral quandary
because I
because
just
you
saved
had
the Geth.
Legion. Yeah, but if you take that away,
Yeah.
there's no point to there's no reason to not pick that ending now.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing is like that was like the struggle for me at the time was like, but I just did all that work for
Yeah, like I
three
didn't.
games to unify
Yes,
the Quarians and the Geth. I've been working at this and you're going to take that away from me. And I was like, but I got to kill the Reapers.
yeah, I was like, well, even like to some degree, like Edie, who I didn't really care about once she got like a full body or whatever,
Yeah.
but like I'm genociding complete planets by picking the red
But
ending.
that's
I
the
don't
thing
want to do
too.
that.
Edie survived
Which doesn't make sense.
because I think she's like partially organic or something. I don't know. But like,
It,
yeah,
it
she
didn't make sense.
survives.
Yeah. Which when I saw that, I was like,
And
so
so
was that a lie?
what I think is I think they misworded that ending. And I think they
Yeah.
didn't intend to kill all synthetic life, or they did initially, and then somebody said, "Yo, what about the Geth?" And they were like, "Ah,
Right.
shit."
Yeah.
But they'd
Like,
already shipped it.
yeah, that's one of the things because this conversation came up a couple of times in terms of Expedition 33 because Expedition 33 has two endings that can uh, you can choose from.
Oh, great.
But you can also load a previous save and get the other one. You don't need for the trophy. You only need one ending. You don't need to get both.
That's what I did in Singularity. You could save
Yeah,
like right before, and I just did
mhm,
that, and I just save scummed all three endings.
yeah. But like the conversation came up of, do you prefer having the option of multiple endings, or would you rather have a story tell its story and not give that agency to the player? Which is an interesting conversation because I see both sides to it. I think for me personally, I would rather just have the narrative be the narrative without necessarily. Mass Effect is a weird one because so much of it is choice based, where it felt like it needed to reflect your journey throughout the entire thing. But in general, I just want the writer to tell the story. I don't want to have agency in that story to affect something as important as the ending of the game.
So here's the way I look at it: is it all depends on how much choice you have throughout the game, and I think
Yeah.
something like Mass Effect, you cannot take away that agency right at the finish line, because I feel
Mhm.
like that's disingenuous to the
Right.
franchise. And I look at a game like a really good example of this. I look at is Infamous 2.
Right.
Infamous 2, you play through the whole game. I played the whole game. Good guy. I was always with what's her name, Quo. I was like, yes, cool. Me and Quo. Spoilers for the
Here we go.
2000 not 11,
Uh, d-
12. When did Infamous 2
oh,
come
I,
out? First
I want
one
to
was
say
9, right?
I think so. So I think it was 11
11.
for 2.
Spoilers for the 14-year-old Infamous 2. Just gonna keep throwing those out there.
Yep.
Please release those on the PlayStation 5.
It's
Like remastered.
on PS3 when they were releasing all of like the Jack collection and Slag Cooper collection.
Yeah.
I want that on PS5.
Yeah.
Resistance collection.
Yeah. Put them out. What have you got to
Killzone
lose?
collection.
Come on. Anyway, what was I saying? So like, you play through that whole game siding with Quell. I'm like, yeah, I'm a good guy. That other lady, she's crazy. I don't know what her deal is. And then at the end, guy's like, I'm the Phil Lamar's like, I'm the beast. And I'm like, whoa. Quell's like, all right, well, we got to help him. We got to do the thing. I'm like, no. This is not how things are going to go. And then the lady who's the bad guy is all of a sudden like, no, he's going to kill all these people. We can't do this. And I'm like, why is she making more sense than everyone else here right now? And like, you get the opportunity to either stay on the good side, which is now clearly the bad side, or you get to be on the actual good side, which is now siding with the bad people who have been doing the wrong things for the right reasons the whole game. And like, that was so like powerful in that moment of like, there is the moral thing to do, and then there is the thing I've done this whole game, and then there is my moral obligation to the thing I've done this whole game. And like, that was awesome. And I think like that's the perfect example of a game that gives you a lot of agency and it works. Mass Effect 3, it did not work, but like Infamous 2 is a perfect example of a system like that working. On the flip side, I look at Dark Souls 3, where I accidentally got the Usurper of Flame ending in Dark Souls 3, and it didn't really do anything to my gameplay. But when I got to the ending and I saw that ending and I thought it was the coolest freaking thing ever, and then I realized it was a secret, I felt so damn good about myself. I was like, what? And that became like my canon playthrough. I was like, that was amazing. What the shit? Like, that was so cool. And like, so that's the reverse side of like, if you don't have an impact, but then like you give a definitive ending, you could put players in a situation where something really cool happens that they're not prepared for. And so Dark Souls 3 is not a game where I feel like I had a lot of agency. I just happened to do things in a certain order and then not recognize certain things in the world to allow certain things to transpire. And so, you know, that's all how that kind of worked out conveniently. And I was like, okay, cool. But like, it all comes down to, so like if Expedition 33 turns into this game with a lot of agency, then I think you do need to have that choice. Right now, I don't really see that. And so it's weird if at the end they're going to be like, yeah, so you're on this roller coaster, but then at the end you get to pick which station you go into. And it's like, well, what?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those cases of mechanically it kind of came out of left field and didn't make any sense, but thematically with the story and everything that had been leading up to it, it makes sense. So I wasn't entirely mad at it. And I think there's one ending that's arguably better than the other one. But even then there's an argument going around about it. For Mass Effect 3, I had to look up, I couldn't remember what the blue ending was. I remember green and red.
Wasn't that like Synthesis?
No, green was synthesis. So
Green was
blue,
synthesis. Okay.
blue was where Shepard sacrificed himself to merge with the Reapers and become like their governing intelligence, and they
Oh.
rebuilt the galaxy. Which I don't remember that being a thing.
Yeah, I
I
don't
wonder if
remember
that was
that.
something that was added into the Legendary Edition. I don't
I
remember that
think,
because
you
that
know
also
what? No,
seems like not terrible.
I think I thought about picking that one, and then I was like, nah, kill the Reapers. I was like,
Yeah,
there's nothing that says that this won't change in the future. I said, kill the goddamn Reapers.
yeah, yeah. It's but so yeah. Like I'm just a couple hours into Mass Effect 1 again, and I'm already in love with it again.
It's a great game.
And yeah, and we'll see how my opinion changes over time as I play through the rest of the trilogy. But Mass Effect 1 has always been my favorite just from a story and world building perspective because it had to do so much heavy lifting to get kind of all of the concepts and themes off the ground. I think in terms of a faced villain, I think it has the best in the franchise with Saren. I think to me, he always felt like 3 or 4 steps ahead and actually having a face for the villain as opposed to kind of the Reapers as a whole or the Star Child or
I
the
thought
Collectors.
Harbinger was okay.
Harbinger was okay, but I think
Like I liked the idea. Like I liked that. Like you'd be in a fight and just like Harbinger would pop into a guy and he'd just be
mhm,
like, "I am your Harbinger," and I'm just like, "Okay, you're dead."
yeah,
And like just anytime he showed up, he's just like, "I am coming for you," and I'm just like, "Fuck you, dude."
yeah, yeah.
That
I
was like
think
a cool thing. In the moment, I thought that was a cool thing.
the biggest choice I have to make is who's going to be my love interest.
It's
I don't
Tally. It's
know.
always Tally. Tally is the
I
best. Nobody
I
wants it more than her.
I never romanced Tally once when I played through the games
Please,
originally.
please do it for me. I'm telling you, I saved myself
It,
now. I don't romance anyone in the first game. I save myself for Tally.
it was between her and Liara.
I would like. I am interested in eventually. So here's the problem: is Mass Effect is one of those games that like I have my canon, and I need
That's
to
the
keep
thing.
playing the canon.
That's the
I
thing.
need to do it. I
I
have to
could play
play,
I could play completely differently. I could pick a new class,
but
but
I don't
no, I
want.
picked the Vanguard again. Like I always pick the
Yeah, I
Vanguard because
don't
I
want to
play him
do
in every
something
single
else.
game.
I want to
So I just do
be.
the exact same thing over and over and over.
This is my
I do the
happy
exact same
place.
thing.
This is what
Yes,
makes me
that's what I
happy.
do.
This is what I want to do.
It makes me
And
happy
yeah,
Gilmore.
and
Yes.
now I would like to do a playthrough at some point where I do romance Tally through all, or not Tally, Liara through all 3 games because
Yeah.
I want to see what that turns into.
I
But I could probably watch
yeah.
that in a YouTube video and then
Yeah.
stay true
Yeah.
to myself
True to your canon.
and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
romance Tally because I'm telling you, nobody wants it more than she does, and she is just such a freaking sweetheart.
And they fixed the Getty stock image of her
Yes,
picture
yes.
on the nice. It's I'm trying to think back to my original playthrough. I think I romanced Ashley in the first game
I did
out
too
of
because
spite.
you don't know, you don't
You
realize
don't
how
know.
racist she is until you've already decided.
And then I think in Mass Effect 2, I romanced Miranda. And then in Mass Effect 3, I'm pretty sure I romanced Liara. I think that was
Really,
the.
you
Or wait,
saved her for 3.
so
That's
I just
interesting.
thought, yeah, it's like she came off. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I think Ashley in the first game, she was the other human.
Yeah.
I think to start off, and then Miranda again because she was based off of a celebrity I thought was really hot. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then when the third game came around, I was like, wait, do you is Liara in your party in the third game?
In the beginning, yes, I think she can be. Um,
Because
I
now
want
I'm
to
second
say
guessing
I want
myself.
to say yes because I know she's in your party in the beginning of that game. I think she's there.
Hold
All I
on.
know is once I realized like in Mass Effect 1 I could romance Liara, I don't think I romanced another human for the rest of that time.
Yeah.
Except for the
Okay.
one
Yeah.
time where I slept with Jack because it didn't impact any other romances. And then Jack got
Yeah.
mad at me.
The Jack Attack. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can romance. I was trying to even just remember if Liara is a party member because I know she in the Mass Effect 2 DLC has a major part to play in the Shadow Broker DLC.
Yes.
So I couldn't remember off the top of my head if she was actually a party member anymore in Mass Effect 3 or
and
not.
that's the thing in 2, because I remember if you romanced her in the first game, in Lair of the Shadow Broker, you have the opportunity, regardless of any other romances you've done, to reinitiate that romance. So, like, you could technically romance somebody, and then she'll ask you, like, hey, I know you're doing this. Do you want to continue that, or do you want to try us again? And you could be like, yeah, hell yeah, I want to try us again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep, she is. James Vega, Liara, Garrus, Edie, Javik, Ashley, Kaiden. I didn't
That
realize.
Garrus is a party member in all 3 is somebody who understood the assignment. Somebody knew. That was one of my favorite things in Mass Effect 2. When spoilers for 2010's Mass Effect 2. When Garrus was Archangel and he took off the helmet and Shepard's like, Garrus, and I'm like, Garrus. Yes,
honestly, the two homies throughout the entire franchise, if you want a full party playthrough, is Garrus and Liara. Like, those are the two, like, core. I would argue the most core to Shepard's story are those two as well.
100%. I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
maybe I'll need to restart Mass Effect and then just play fresh.
You should, man. I didn't realize that.
Bring back Mass Effect Mondays.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't realize Tali changed her last name in Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, so she's Tali Zora Voss
Normandy.
Well, because the trial thing that happens.
Yeah,
so she gets kicked off of her ship.
That.
Yeah. And then she gets a new ship in 3.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like a big shot now.
Right.
Because I am awesome.
But
I love when she shows up. If you romance her in 2, she like shows up in the 3rd game and she just like comes around. She's like, by the way, still totally worth it. And I'm like, yes, girl. Yes. That's my girl. Let's go. I've never wanted a full body pillow of a character, but every time I see they have the one for Tali and they have the one for Garrus, and I'm always just like, I mean, if it was anybody else,
and Garrus,
else, I don't know, but like, I mean, if I could do worse, it's not Hatsune Miku, you know, like I'm not a creep.
Oh my god.
You tell me it wouldn't be funny to walk in and just like, oh, Garrus, hello. You calibrating? They have the New Blood have the full body pillow of the character from what the hell is that game? Where like blood is fuel, humans are dead. Overkill. They have the robot. They have a full body pillow of the robot.
Yeah. But there's one of like Claptrap.
Gotta be. It's probably one of Randy Pitchford out there somewhere. He has it for himself.
But yeah, Mass Effect, man. I'm excited to play through it again. So that's pretty much it from me. Yeah. It's great.
So I wanted to do this while we were still talking about EA, which we kind of still are. We're talking about Mass Effect.
Right.
I saw this Reddit thread. It's from it's from our GameStop. It's an employee, and I'm going to just read it to you.
Okay.
I was going through some pre-order SKUs today at my store. This was 3 days ago. While it was dead, and I saw Bad Company 1+2 Remastered Double Pack coming out for the current 3 consoles. No picture was given, no description, and also the price was $80 for both of the games with a November 2025 release date. My business started picking up, so I had to get out of it, and when I went back to look again, I couldn't find it. I'm wondering if this was just announced. Did GameStop put it in the system for a few moments and realize their mistake and delete it? I'm really curious about this. It would be an amazing release from EA, the Battlefield franchise, if they remastered both games correctly. So I saw that, and Ross, you might have a guess as to what was my favorite shooter, multiplayer shooter on the PlayStation 3.
Yep.
And it was Bad Company 2. Me and the boys getting tags. So, if they're going to put out the Bad Company games again, maybe Andrew Wilson is not as dumb as I thought. But also, if they're putting out Bad Company 1 and 2 remastered, does that mean that the new
door's
Battlefield game is Battlefield Bad Company 3?
The door is open.
Because that's the only way, in my mind, it makes sense. Because if you're going to remaster something, you'd be like, oh, we're going to remaster Battlefield 3. Because this is like a continuation of the Battlefield 3 and 4 and blah, blah, blah. Bad Company is a choice. And you don't make that choice without intent. But also, do they have anybody there who can properly make a Bad Company 3? Now, the new Battlefield, everything I've seen of it, looks incredible. It looks like they finally figured out what they want to be again. And the last time they figured out what they want to be again, they made Bad Company 2. And boy, was that game great. So, I'm kind of fingers crossed here. Like, one, am I about to get my favorite Battlefield game back remastered? Because that would be dope. And two, am I going to get Battlefield Bad Company 3 after all these years? It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you do have a track record of eventually getting what you want from the video game industry.
I'm just waiting for Mega Man Legends at this point. Come on, Capcom.
Yep.
Come on, Capcom. But, yeah, I saw that and I was like, boy, imagine. Imagine if that happened.
Go for Vegas remaster 1 and 2.
I don't think they're ever going to go back to that. I don't think they want to talk about anything that isn't Siege. I would love it if they made a new Vegas, like not New Vegas, but you know. Yeah. But man, no, I would love that if they went back to that style and made a new Rainbow Six Vegas. That would be so cool. But I just don't think there's any market for it. That's a shooter of its time. It brought us together. It was the most important thing it could ever do.
That's very true. LVU campus will live on forever.
LVU campus. We'll make that in every game that we can. We got to go into Halo Infinite and make LVU campus.
Yep, we did it in Halo 3. We have the technology to do it again.
Technology. Oh man. But do we have time to tackle, or?
I was thinking we potentially record that as a separate video tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, right. Just because I feel like we think we can get it done before I have to leave, but we talk a lot about video games.
It's great. It's a blessing and a curse.
It is. It is.
Ross, this is delightful.
It was.
I'm so glad we're doing this again. It makes my heart happy. Just to be able to talk.
Yeah.
Even though I cough. But
Chris's Controversial Corner.
Yes.
Coming back 2025.
Oh, God. How about we end it on this? Do you have any stuff that's going to be going up on that website that we still have?
I'm still having writer's block.
Fair.
Honestly. But I've been playing a lot more stuff. So I have a couple of ideas.
Like I said, just write something you don't care about and then write the thing you do care about. And it usually works.
I find it hard to write about something I don't care about.
Well, I mean, something that you care about, not as much as the important one. Whatever one you want to be really good, write that one second.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm working on it. But how about you? Anything?
I should have Did you read my Oblivion remastered review yet? Did you give that once over?
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
Let me know if you do, just so I can get a quick glancing at it. And then that will probably go up this week. Nice. As I play more Switch 2, I plan to potentially review Yakuza and Mario Kart, but I will at some point have a written review for the Switch 2. That is my plan. Maybe a video. I might do that on my personal channel because that's more that channel's thing, but I haven't decided yet because that's also a very Destiny channel at this point. So maybe I'll do it here. We'll see. Maybe that'll be the breakthrough video we need.
There we go.
But yeah, I would at some point like to do something for the Switch 2.
Yeah.
So in the coming weeks, probably before if I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be before the end of June, because I feel like once June is over, it's too late.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching, for listening, whatever you do, however you do it. Thanks for doing it. And please subscribe, please review, do whatever. Show us some love. We need it.
Appreciate it.
He appreciates it. I need it. I need validation.
He's laughing through the pain.